Welcome to New Thought Deep Dive. Each week, we dive into a refresher on New Thought spiritual ideas that leave you thinking. Everything about this podcast, from the intro to the script and the presenters, is generated by AI. For more information, please visit newthoughtnexus.net.
You know that feeling when you decide, right, it's time to reorganize the house.
Oh, yeah, the big purge.
You've been on Pinterest, you buy the new furniture, you have this grand vision of it's like a perfect minimalist living room. But then you're standing in the middle of your actual living room and you realize
there's literally nowhere to put the new stuff.
Exactly. The room is already full of the old stuff. You can't bring the new sofa in until you haul the old lumpy one out.
It's just basic physics.
It is. And today, we're not talking about interior design, but we are talking about the architecture of our lives. We're kicking off a 4-part series on a class called The Spiritual Art of Letting Go.
In this first part, week 1, it's called The Burden of the Past.
It's a heavy title.
It is, but it's appropriate. The source material for this week is, let's say, it's pretty confrontational. It doesn't really pull any punches about the state of our internal houses.
No, it really doesn't. And it starts with this core conflict that I think everyone listening can relate to. We all want new things. We want the better relationship, the healthier body, the peace of mind, the bigger bank balance. We're constantly asking the universe for more.
But the whole premise of these readings is that we are metaphysically full. We're stuffed to the gills.
We are.
And that's really the central problem we're trying to get at in this deep dive. The mission here is to understand why. Why does holding on to yesterday stop the flow of today?
Right.
And looking at these class notes, which are rooted in New Thought, the answer isn't just, psychological. It's presented almost like physics.
Like our living room analogy.
Exactly. Two things cannot occupy the same space at the same time. You simply cannot receive what you do not have room for.
There was one line in the opening reading that I circled, I think, 3 times. It said, "You cannot hold the hand of God while clutching the baggage of yesterday."
That's a stark visual, isn't it?
It's frustratingly accurate. It implies you've literally got your hands full.
Yep.
You're standing there asking for help, asking for a blessing, but your fists are clenched tight around something else. You can't grab the lifeline if you don't drop the luggage.
And that's the tension of the human experience, right? We want the new life, but we want to drag the comfort or even the pain of the old life right into it with us.
Yeah.
The sources are basically arguing that our energy, our life force, our attention, it's a finite resource in terms of how we direct it.
So if it's all pointed back.
If your energy is gripped tight around an old memory or a resentment, it is just unavailable for creation. It's frozen capital.
Frozen capital.
Yeah.
I like that. So let's talk about where we store all this frozen capital. The main metaphor used throughout the text is the mental attic.
Oh, absolutely. I think everyone has one of those.
I know I do.
The text describes the mind like a house. We live downstairs and, in the living room of the present. That's the now. But right above our heads, there is this vast attic. And for most people, it is not empty.
According to the notes, it is packed with undesirable accumulated trash, which, it feels a little harsh.
It's blunt.
I'd like to think my memories are treasures. But then you look at the inventory list the author gives. Old beliefs, fears, useless habits.
And notice the distinction. We aren't talking about useful memories like, your anniversary or how to drive a car.
Right.
We're talking about the stuff that no longer serves any purpose but still takes up space. And the real problem is spatial. Because the attic is packed with things we don't want, there's no room for the ideas and inspirations we do want.
But here's the thing, and the notes are really clear on this. It's not just neutral clutter. It's not like storing old tax returns you just forgot about. This stuff is Crow. It's radioactive.
Right. The clutter is emotionally charged. The text even breaks it down into categories to help us identify it. You have the furniture.
The heavy stuff?
The heavy stuff. Long-standing resentments. Those are the big, bulky things we refuse to move because they feel so solid.
Then you have the boxes. The notes call these limiting labels.
And labels are just so insidious. I'm the clumsy one. I'm bad with money.
I'm just not lucky in love.
Oh, totally. I feel called out.
Me too.
You boxed yourself into that definition 10 years ago, and you're still tripping over that same box today. And then, maybe the most dangerous category, the dark corners.
Guilt.
Guilt. The stuff we shove way back in the eaves where the light doesn't touch. We think if we hide it, it goes away.
But it doesn't.
No. In a house, the things in the dark corners, they tend to rot. They affect the air quality of the whole house.
And the argument is that living under this attic, it changes how we see the world.
Mm-hmm.
This brings us to a visual that I found just incredibly useful, the knothole perspective.
It's a perfect way to explain tunnel vision.
So paint the picture for us.
Okay, so imagine a massive, solid wooden fence. And on the other side of that fence is this incredible landscape, mountains, rivers, infinite possibility.
That's the present moment.
Exactly, divine potential. But we're not standing in that open field. We're standing behind the fence.
And we're looking through a tiny knothole in one of the planks.
Right, and that knothole, that's our past experience.
So if my knothole is shaped like betrayal because of a bad breakup 5 years ago,
Then when you look through it at that vast landscape of new people and new relationships, what are you going to see?
I just see more potential betrayers. I see the same old movie playing out again.
Precisely. You project the shape of the knothole onto the landscape. You're not seeing what's actually there. You're seeing a tiny, distorted slit of reality that confirms what you already believe.
The text calls it projecting yesterday's failure onto today's potential.
It's a perfect description.
That connects to the searchlight idea mentioned later in the notes, doesn't it? The idea that energy follows attention.
Yes. Think about it like walking down a dark path. You have a flashlight. That's your conscious attention. Now, if you are walking forward into the future, but you have your flashlight pointed backward at the past,
You're going to trip.
it is inevitable. You cannot navigate the future while illuminating the past. You're just energizing the shadows behind you instead of lighting the path ahead.
Okay, so we've established the problem. We're hoarding radioactive trash, we're peering through a tiny knothole, and we're walking backward in the dark. It is a mess.
That's a total mess.
How do we actually fix this? The text pivots here to the mechanics of release, and they call it the law of the vacuum.
This is the how of letting go. And again, notice the language. It's not the good idea of the vacuum. It's a law.
Right.
The source material treats this like a mechanism of nature. Nature abhors a vacuum.
Meaning, if you create an empty space, something has to rush in and fill it.
We see it in weather systems, you know, low pressure draws in high pressure. The argument here is that the universe works the same way with our lives. If you want good to come in, you can't just beg for it. You have to create the void that pulls it in.
The analogies in the text were really helpful for this because creating a void sounds a bit abstract. The simplest one was the cup.
A classic. So imagine you have a teacup. It's filled to the brim with cold, stagnant, week-old tea. And you want fresh, hot tea. You're praying for it. But if I come along with a teapot and I try to pour...
It just spills over. Burns your hand, makes a huge mess. You waste the new gift because you didn't dump out the old stuff.
Right. You have to empty the cup. That is the act of faith. You have to be willing to have an empty cup just for a moment.
There's another analogy about a swimming pool that I thought related more to, like, money or the circulation of energy.
Yes, the inlet and the outlet. So if you plug the drain of a pool because you're scared of losing water, maybe you think I have to hold on to every last drop. What happens?
Well, the fresh water stops coming in because the pool's full.
And the water that's already in there.
It just turns green and toxic. It stagnates.
Exactly. Stagnation is death. Life is a flow. It's circulation. If you block the release, the letting go, you automatically block the intake. You can't hoard your way to abundance.
But that hoarding instinct, it comes from fear. There's a story in the notes about the man in the basement that really highlights how irrational this fear can get.
The man living in the basement of the mansion.
Yeah. So he's sitting in this dark, damp basement, refusing to go upstairs to the beautiful sunlit rooms filled with art and comfortable furniture.
And his reasoning is?
His logic is, well, those rooms haven't come down to me yet.
It sounds completely ridiculous when you say it out loud. Why hasn't the living room come down to the basement?
But we do that. We sit in our mental clutter and say, well, if that happy relationship wants me, it knows where to find me. I'll just be over here nursing this grudge.
And the metaphysical truth is that the upper rooms are stationary. They are already there. You have to ascend in consciousness. You have to leave the basement. But leaving the basement triggers what the notes call the fear of emptiness.
That's the real hurdle, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're terrified that if we throw out the old furniture, even if it's broken and ugly, we'll just be sitting in an empty room.
The ego screams, better the devil I know. The ego hates a void.
So what's the reassurance?
The text asserts that the universe is plenitude. There is no such thing as nothing in the spiritual sense. The moment you create that space, the divine rushes in to fill it.
It's like the trapeze artist metaphor. You have to let go of the bar behind you before you can catch the bar in front of you.
And for that split second, you're floating in midair. You're not holding on to anything.
That's the scary part.
That is the moment of faith. But the law of the vacuum guarantees the second bar is there. You just can't hold both at once.
Okay, so we need to create space. But to do that, we have to change how we think about our past. This leads to what I think is the most intellectual, but maybe the most important pivot in this week's material.
The distinction between facts and truth.
This is often the hardest concept for students to grasp.
I'll be honest, I had to read this section twice. Because in normal conversation, those words mean the same thing. If I say, it's a fact I'm bald, and it's true I'm bald, I'm saying the same thing. So why does the text treat them as opposites?
In New Thought metaphysics, they refer to different categories of reality. A fact belongs to the relative realm.
The temporary world.
Exactly. It's a temporary condition. It's what your senses tell you right now. It is the data.
Okay. Give me a concrete example.
It is a fact that a bank account is overdrawn. It is a fact that a relationship ended in divorce. It is a fact that a doctor gave a certain diagnosis. These things exist in the physical world.
And the text isn't saying we should ignore those facts, right? We aren't just deluding ourselves or pretending the bank account is full when it's empty.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
You don't deny the fact exists. You deny its permanence.
Ah.
Facts change. There's just snapshots of a moving picture. The bank account can be replenished. The body can heal.
Yeah.
The divorce can lead to a new life.
Okay. So if that's a fact, then what is truth with a capital T?
Truth belongs to the absolute. It refers to the spiritual reality that never changes, regardless of the temporary facts. The truth is that you are a creator. The truth is that life is eternal. The truth is that abundance is the natural state of the universe.
So the burden, the heavy baggage we carry, that comes from confusing the two.
Exactly. We take a nasty little fact, which should be temporary, and we cement it into a permanent truth about ourselves.
So I failed at that business is a fact.
Correct. That is an event that happened in time and space.
But when I say I am a failure...
That's a lie. That is a false truth. You're taking an event and turning it into an identity. You're making it permanent.
Wow. That's a huge shift.
My history is not my destiny.
That is the key line. You acknowledge the fact, okay, that happened, but you refuse to accept it as the final word on who you are. The fact is just the weather. The truth is the sky.
I really like that. The fact is the weather. That helps. But now we need to talk about the machinery behind all this, because the text gets into the why and the how using this framework of love and law.
And the law part sounds a bit cold, like a computer program?
It's meant to. It's very mechanical. This comes from the science of mind background of the writers. They framed the universe as having two aspects. Love is the impulse. It's the desire in you that wants to be happy, that wants to expand. It's the why.
And the law is the how.
Yes. The law is the impersonal servant that executes the order. And impersonal is the key word here. The text compares it to electricity.
Electricity doesn't care if it's lighting a hospital operating room or shocking you because you stuck a fork in an outlet. It just flows.
Right. It has no moral judgment. It doesn't say, oh, he's a nice guy, let's not shock him.
And the law doesn't judge what you give it. It just creates. So if you hold on to past pain and you obsess over it and talk about it...
You're ordering more pain.
You are. The law just says, okay, the order is for pain, and it produces more of it.
It's a copying machine. If you put a picture of a sad face on the glass and hit print, it gives you more sad faces. It doesn't say, hey, are you sure you want this? You look like you need a hug.
It just prints. And this brings us to probably the weirdest, most specific analogy in the notes.
The spaghetti machine.
The spaghetti machine.
I still can't believe this was in a serious philosophical text. I had to reread it to make sure I wasn't hallucinating.
It's memorable, though. That's why it works.
Okay, break it down for us.
The story goes, if a man wants to drill a hole through a cooked strand of spaghetti, he doesn't have to figure out the physics of how to do that. He just has to make the demand. And the law answers the demand in the terms of the demand.
Meaning, if I ask for a hole in spaghetti, the law creates the specific weird machinery needed to do exactly that.
Right. The law creates the means. You provide the end. It will twist the universe into pretzels to give you exactly what you were focusing on.
But the warning is, we are standing in front of this machine every day, and if we are constantly ruminating on our past victimization, talking about it, thinking about it,
we are standing in front of the machine demanding more victimization, And the law is faithfully creating the complex machinery to bring us more people and situations that will make us feel like a victim.
That is terrifying.
Yeah.
It means we are manufacturing our own bad luck.
It is scary, but flip it over. It's also the most empowering thing in the world. Because if you take your hand off the victim button and press the freedom button, the machine has to switch gears. It has no choice.
Which leads to the projector metaphor. If you're at the movies and you hate the film, you don't run up and scream at the screen.
The screen is just the effect. That's the fact we talked about. You can scrub the screen all day, but the image won't change.
You had to go to the projection booth.
You have to change the film.
Right.
And letting go of the past is simply taking out the old, scratched reel of film so the new one can play.
Okay, we've been very theoretical. I want to ground this. The notes include a story that is just incredibly heavy. The story of the corpses.
This is from Ernest Holmes. It's a very visceral image.
He talks about meeting a soldier who was just bitter. This guy hated his parents. He thought his friends were mocking him. He was angry at his commanders. Just a walking ball of hate.
And Holmes looked at him and said, essentially, you are carrying 6 corpses on your back.
6 corpses. That is gruesome.
He was referring to the dead events of the past. The parents' mistakes, the slights, the failures. They were dead. They were over.
They didn't exist anymore.
Not in the present moment, but this soldier had dug them up, strapped them to his back, and was dragging them through his day.
It really explains the exhaustion, doesn't it? When you're depressed or stuck in the past, you feel physically heavy.
Because you are carrying the dead. You are hauling a cemetery around with you. You can't dance when you're carrying corpses.
So how do we drop the bodies? The class includes a physical exercise, and I have to admit, I did this while I was reading the notes, and it's surprisingly effective.
The clenched fist.
Let's walk the listener through it.
Okay, so for everyone listening, unless you're driving or operating heavy machinery, do this with us right now. Clench your fists.
Make it tight, white knuckles, dig your fingernails in, really squeeze.
Now just hold that. Don't let go. And feel what happens to your arm.
The tension travels up. My forearm gets hard.
Yeah.
Then my bicep. Then my shoulder hunches up. Even my neck gets tight.
The blockage spreads. But more importantly, while your hand is clenched like that, can you shake my hand?
No.
Can you pick up a winning lottery ticket if I handed it to you?
Impossible.
You are physically and metaphysically incapable of receiving. As long as you are gripping the past, that grudge, that story, that identity, your hand is closed to the future.
And then the release. When you finally open your hand,
Describe that sensation.
it tingles. You feel the blood rush back in. It actually feels warm.
That is the circulation returning. That is life rushing back into the vacuum you just created.
It's such a simple demonstration, but it proves the point. Letting go isn't just a mental idea. It's a physical release of tension.
We often think letting go means losing something. I'm losing my argument, or I'm losing my right to be angry. But this exercise shows that letting go is actually the moment your circulation returns. It's when you come back to life.
So that's our homework for week 1. We've got this attic full of junk. We've got corpses. We've got a clenched fist.
The summary is this. We are not victims of the past. We are the thinkers. We have the capacity to observe the clutter and choose to remove it.
It's cleaning week.
It is. And the call to action is to identify just one piece of clutter in your attic this week. Don't try to clear the whole house in a day. You'll just get overwhelmed.
Just pick one box.
Pick one box. Maybe it's that one grudge against a boss from 10 years ago. Maybe it's the label, I'm not creative.
Whatever it is, just consciously decide to create a vacuum there. Visualize taking it out of the attic. Open the fist.
And I want to leave everyone with one final thought from the source material. It's a bit of a teaser for where this series goes, but it's a take on the prodigal son story that I had never heard before.
Ah, yes. The ultimate story of letting go.
We all know the story. The son takes his inheritance, leaves home, wastes it all on partying, ends up feeding pigs. He's ruined, covered in mud, and he decides to go home, expecting his dad to be furious.
But the source makes a profound point here. When the father runs out to meet him, does he lecture him about the mud?
No. The text says the father didn't even know the son was dirty.
That blew my mind the first time I read it. We think we have to clean ourselves up to be worthy of the future. We think we have to fix the past before we can move on.
But the universe, the father, doesn't see the dirt. It doesn't judge the past. It only sees the son coming home.
The universe is ready to give us the kingdom the moment we turn toward home. The only one keeping score is us.
We're the only ones holding the scorecard.
That is something to sit with.
It changes everything.
Well, that wraps up week 1 of the spiritual art of letting go. We have cleared the attic, or at least we've opened the trapdoor.
We've let some light in.
Next time, for week 2, we are going to pick up a specific tool to help with the heavy lifting. We're going to talk about denial, but not the psychological kind. The notes call it the gentle eraser.
It's a controversial word, but a powerful technique. You won't want to miss it.
Until then, check your attic. Thanks for diving deep with us.